So if you are watching live, say hello in the chat. Say hello in the chat so we can follow along. And if you are coming back to watch the replay, put in hashtag replay so I can actually come and say hi to you. And of course, as always, if you have any questions along the way, please type them in the chat and I will come back and answer those for you, whether it is live or in the replay. All right, so for those that don't know me, I am Dr. Amanda. I am a lifestyle medicine physician. And you see here at Atkins Enlightenment Lifestyle Medicine, we help people like you to actually live out their God given purpose. Well, today is a hot topic that we all want to know about, especially for my people that have been diagnosed with diabetes. Why weight loss feels so hard, especially with a diagnosis of diabetes. So if you have ever felt like you're trying to lose weight, you're making better choices, you're putting in the effort, but the scale barely moves, and you're like, oh, the frustration is real. Or even if it moves, it goes down and it comes right back up. Like, I thought I just lost those 2 pounds. They just found me again. What in the world is happening? And at some point, you're wondering, why is this so hard? Why does it feel harder than it used to be, especially for us that are above that fourth decade? And most importantly, am I doing something wrong? And we always feel like that's the case, like there's something just not right. Okay. And there's a reason why weight loss feels different. And more importantly, there's a different way to approach it. Okay. It's not just about willpower. Like, when I first started, I was like, I'm just going to see how long I can keep going, keep going, keep going. And initially, that is how you start. Like, I'm just going to will this to be, I'm going to make sure this happens. But eventually, you need a plan, you need a purpose, you need an inside, deeper conviction of what's going on for your body. Okay. And it's about what's happening on the inside of our body. Okay. So, inside. We all like to look good on the outside. But once we look good on the outside, it's a reflection of what's already gone on the inside. Okay. In more ways than one. Okay. So today we're walking through why weight loss feels harder, especially with the diagnosis of diabetes, and what you may be missing, what can work, and what actually supports your body. Okay. We're all about supporting our body because our body is a miraculous, wonderful creation. Okay. And when we give our bodies the right tools, it actually works better than if we give it, just throw everything at it. Okay. So we want to make sure we are giving our body what it needs. Okay. So weight loss with diabetes is not the same. Okay. It's not as before because one, weight loss without metabolic change. Okay. So we have to make some metabolic changes because we are dealing with that insulin resistance. Okay. Even if you don't have a diagnosis of diabetes, if you've had blood tests done that shows that your fasting insulin level is high, showing that you have some insulin resistance, then this also information is for you. Okay. If it is for you, I want you to make sure you like it. If it is not for you, share it on your page to make sure that someone that this information is for can get the information there. So like and share and comment with your questions. Or if you're like, hey, Dr. Amanda, I didn't know that. Or, oh, I've been working on that. Thank you for your encouragement to keep going. Okay. So insulin resistance plays a big role. Okay. So it shows how our body stores and uses energy because, again, that's why we eat food. We don't eat food just for the pleasure of it. It's actually an energy source to keep our body going so we can actually do what God wanted us to do, right? We're not here by accident. We're not here by happenstance. We're here to actually carry out some type of work. Okay. So we need the food because food is information, food is energy, and we need that to actually let our bodies or have our bodies work efficiently and move on. Okay. So when insulin levels are elevated, our body likes to store fat. So that is why it can definitely be harder to lose weight when you have insulin resistance or a diagnosis of diabetes. Okay. Because our body likes to store fat. when our insulin levels are elevated, and it's less likely to access fat for energy. So we have fat already stored, and then we're storing more fat no matter what we eat or what we're doing because of that insulin resistance. Okay, that's why I can feel like you're doing everything right, and by golly, nothing changes. Nothing changes. You're like, why am I even doing this? And we go on that yo-yo and we get just frustrated and we just give up until the next time that our willpower tries to kick in and to keep us going. Okay. So let's try to simplify the role of insulin. Okay. Because I know I talk about it a lot, especially on this page, because I really want you to get it, because insulin is a hormone that moves glucose into your cells. Okay. So when we have a diagnosis of diabetes, most time people are just focusing on the sugar that's in the bloodstream. Okay. And you're like, okay, well, I just need to eat less sugar and it won't be in my bloodstream anymore. And that's what most people ask. Like, I don't eat sugar. I don't eat desserts. Why is it high? It's not necessarily about the sugar. Okay. It's about the insulin hormone, because the insulin is not working properly in your body. Okay. Insulin helps to move, again, the glucose or the sugar into your cells. So from the bloodstream into the cells. Okay. But it also signals your body to store energy. Okay. So when insulin levels are high, especially high over time, your body stays in storage mode. And when we want to lose weight, we want to actually be in energy burning mode. Okay. So this makes weight loss more challenging. So the goal is not necessarily eating less. Okay. Because sometimes I talk with people, and I've been in this boat too, where it's like, I'm just going to eat less. I'm going to eat less. I'm going to eat less. And, sometimes that helps. And sometimes that actually works for a period of time. But eventually you're like, your hormones in your brain are going to be like, girl, you need to eat. Like, this is not working. And then it goes into that vicious cycle. Then you start to overeat because you're compensating for what you did not eat. Okay. So we want to be mindful of that. So it's about improving our body's response to insulin. Okay. We don't want to just eat less, eat less, eat less. Okay. We want to eat foods that actually encourages our body to actually respond to insulin in the way it should. Okay. So what gets in the way? Okay. So we have some common mistakes that can slow weight loss, especially with a diagnosis of diabetes, and that is eating mostly refined carbs. Okay. So eating mostly carbohydrates, even though carbohydrates are healthy. Most carbohydrates are healthy. I got to say that, because most people are like, carbohydrates do that. They do not want to eat them. But meals high in carbohydrates by themselves is not good, because that definitely causes our blood sugar to spike, because our carbohydrates change quickly to sugar, change quickly to glucose in our body. Okay. So that's why we always talk about pairing it with protein, fiber, and healthy fats. So this way we can actually keep that insulin level down. But if we just carbohydrates by themselves, then it can cause our insulin levels to stay elevated and keep going higher. So we talked about this before on previous videos and how to pair your food. So go back and watch that and look at a few of my posts from before and talk about how to pair your food correctly. So that way you can still eat your lovely carbohydrates, your whole food carbohydrates, and not actually cause your blood sugars to stay spike, and then therefore cause your insulin levels to stay elevated. Okay. So carbohydrates can be hard to limit, because they're just so comforting. It's like a warm hug sometimes, especially on a cold day. You just want to wrap up in your carbohydrates and just lay down in the bed. But we have to be careful. Okay. All right, let's wake up. Let's go. So be aware. Also, we have to be aware of frequent snacking. And I call this the grazer. And I definitely have been one of those people also, the grazer. Like, oh, I'll just eat a little bit here. I'll just eat a little bit there. Oh, I haven't eaten in an hour. Maybe I'll eat something now. Where our body was not meant to eat and eat all the time and eat often. We're not like the cows in the fields that I see driving my daughter to work. They just, go around and walking and eating grass as they go along the way. And just, that's not how our body is meant to work. We're meant to eat to have energy and then let our body digest that energy and then use the stored energy that we have to keep us going. Now, again, I'm not telling you that you should not eat at all. We're not talking about necessarily eating less in general. We're talking about not snacking. And most time when we're snacking, we've done a few things that we may need to look at a little bit further. For example, we may not have eaten enough at our previous meal. Therefore, we feel like we need to have a little bit in between, saying that, oh, I just had, a little protein bar for breakfast, and now I'm hungry, an hour later because there wasn't, enough food for my stomach. And it was a lot of calories, but it wasn't necessarily enough food to actually have those stomach hormones stretched and then send the signal to our brain that we're full, we need to stay full. The next thing it could be is that we're not hydrated enough. Our water, you can't see with my background, but water, we need to make sure we're drinking plenty of water throughout the day to make sure that we're not necessarily thirsty and not necessarily hungry. Next, frequent snacking could be because we are bored or we are stressed and we're looking for a way to comfort ourselves. And food is not for comfort. Food is for energy, okay? So one thing that we really want to work on, especially here at Atkins Enlightenment Lifestyle Medicine, we want to look at stress and what causes us to make choices, especially with our food habits of what we're doing, okay? So if we're snacking frequently for stress or for comfort, we want to find alternatives that will actually help that for us. So a few things that we help our clients and patients do is to actually, like I said, drink water, do deep breathing exercises, but most importantly, not just the solution, but to recognize that that's what you're doing. Because when you actually recognize that you're snacking for reasons that you're not hungry, makes a huge difference. And just that awareness, you're like, oh, taking a step back, like, am I really hungry? Or am I trying to mask something else that's going on in my body emotionally? Okay. So ways that we don't want to actually cause a slow weight loss. I went on a tangent, but frequent snacking was that point. Okay. So we want to try to limit frequent snacking. Okay. The next thing we want to make sure is that we're not taking in a high intake of refined carbohydrates. So this is different from our good carbohydrates like our oatmeal and our quinoa and our whole grains. This is more of like our chips and our French fries that, again, this brings comfort for us, that we're like, I'm just going to have this, 100-calorie snack and go on. But the food is, it says it's food, but it's not really food. It's just pure sugar and fat and salt usually. And it digests quickly again, and it spikes our blood sugars, and then it just causes us to store energy, especially for women as we go again into that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th decade in our hips, thighs, and stomach, okay? So we want to be very careful on those snacking or those foods that we eat that are refined carbohydrates. And again, the refined carbohydrates take away that extra fiber that we need to actually slow down that intake, that quick intake that causes our blood sugars to go higher. But again, we have to be very cautious because these are the foods that taste great to the taste buds, but the rest of our body are screaming, don't give this to me. Again, deep things. And it's just, again, one step at a time, looking at making a conscious decision on like, why am I eating this? And again, sometimes you're just like, I just want some French fries and I'm going to have that. And if you're making that conscious choice, that is a very good step because you know what you're doing. And then that way you can then take a next step to say, I'm going to limit this and therefore not do this again at the next meal so I can actually make sure that I am helping my body and helping my weight loss goals and helping my blood sugars to stay down, especially with the diagnosis of diabetes or insulin resistance and bringing that insulin level down. Okay. So it's about making conscious choices with that. Next, we want to be very careful on high saturated fat because high saturated fat definitely worsens insulin resistance over time. And why is that? It is not the sugar that causes insulin resistance. Again, it's that saturated fat that's that glue, that gunk in that keyhole, that insulin is the key that can't get in that keyhole to unlock the door to get that sugar, that glucose from the bloodstream into the cells where it should be. Okay. So that saturated fat is blocking that there. And again, I talked about that more deeply in other videos. So you can look at those to get a better idea of what that saturated fat may be. And another reason why we have trouble losing weight, especially with a diagnosis of diabetes or insulin resistance, is stress and poor sleep. And you're like, Dr. Amanda, you always bring that up. Stress, poor sleep, we all have that. Like, let's talk about something different. Nope, we can't talk about anything different to actually work out this cause. Again, we want to work out why we're feeling stressed. And you're like, why? Do you listen to the news? Do you see what's going on in this world? Yes, I understand. But we want to actually focus on things that are true, things that are lovely, things that are pure, and read our scriptures that actually gives us the promises of God that can decrease that stress. Because when we hear that outside noise that comes in, it is definitely hard. Because I mean, I was like, this happened to overhear things yesterday, like what was going on. Because I try not to watch the news too much because it's just like usually all negative things. And like, I was like, I don't need all that in my brain at this point in time. But if we actually listen to that, you have to then retrain your mind of what the scripture tells you, that, that the Lord will guide you along the best pathway for your life. He is your fortress. He was always there for you. Like, he's always around us. He's making all things work together for our good. All these things that we have to continue to meditate on to retrain our mind, to decrease that stress hormone that's in our body, and have that meditation always on the tip of our tongue, ready to speak out the truth. Because we may hear things going on that we may think, is factual, facts that's there, but we really want to rely on the truth, and that's in our Lord Christ Jesus. So make sure that you really hone in on how well you're doing with your stress levels, okay? And actually your sleep. They go together. So, well, all of it works together. It comes together when we're focusing on whether we're eating well, whether we're moving more, whether we're stressing less, whether we're having restorative sleep, whether we're having that social community, all a connection, all that works together in how our body actually works, okay? So make sure you're leaning and depending on all these things to get your body going. So when we actually look at that, all these things, we'll see why the weight loss may be slow. So slow weight loss, common mistakes we make. Meals mostly in carbohydrates. And again, you can go watch the previous videos of how to put those meals together, and I'll talk a little bit about it in a minute. Frequent snacking. We are not to be grazers. We're to eat a meal, let our body digest it, burn up that energy. And then if we need more fuel, more information for our body, more energy, then we eat again. We don't just snack throughout the day, okay? And make sure that we're not dehydrated. Make sure we're drinking plenty of water. That's causing us to snack frequently. Make sure that we're not overly stressed or feeling tired. Therefore, we're snacking because we're not dealing with our stress and our poor sleep habits either, okay? So that was number 5, but number 2 and 5 together. And then high refined carbohydrates like our chips and our French fries, and making sure we're not taking in too much saturated fat, okay? So those 5 things, actually 6, actually helps helps us not to lose weight as efficiently, okay? So we want to look at those things. So what actually helps? Again, building our meals building our meals so that it actually helps our body. And again, I went deeper into this before on previous videos, so you can actually look at those there, dealing with the refined carbohydrates. So again, eating foods that are high in fiber, high in protein, and little in saturated fat, and little in sugar, because basically refined carbohydrates is sugar. So we want to limit those, okay? When we actually limit these things, it actually supports our fullness, because most time we're eating high calorie foods, but we're not eating high nutrient foods, okay? And therefore, it's causing us to hold on to that weight, and then makes our insulin sensitivity worse. We want to actually do things that make our insulin sensitivity better. So clear out that gunk clear out that saturated fat that's in that keyhole. And we want to be intentional about our meal time. So we want to actually have set meal times. And I know in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, it can be very hard, but you want to have time frames that you're like, this is where I'm going to eat and this is what I'm not going to eat. Okay. And the more conscious decisions you can make, the better. Initially, it will be like, can be a little bit hard to change those habits because you're like, well, I'm just used to eating, when I feel like it. But if you're like, you can train your body to actually eat at certain times. And in between those times, you can make sure you're drinking plenty of water, make sure you're staying hydrated, make sure you're doing your meditations, making sure you're doing deep breathing, making sure you're moving your body, especially outside as the weather is getting nicer. All those things can actually help with intentional weight loss. Okay. So intentional meal time. So that allows time for your body to digest and then detox in between meals. Okay. And moving our bodies outside. I love taking walks outside, trying to get my family to do that more after, especially after our dinner time, to get our body moving because we don't want to go from dinner to bed. So trying to get eating at least 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. So that way it gives your body time to digest, get rid of that energy that you don't need for sleeping. Because then that food, if you're trying to digest while you're sleeping, that interferes with your sleep also. Okay. So we see this all the time where you just feel stuck. You try so many different approaches and you're like, I'm tired of doing this. And it feels like another full-time job. Like I already have 3. I don't need another one, trying to figure out what to eat. But again, sometimes it's not that we don't want to do right. It's like we don't know how to actually make our metabolism work for us. And then just this slight shift in how we build our meals can actually help us. And when we focus on consistency, then that will actually help. And then things will begin to change over time. And you'll be surprised. You'll be like, once you start doing these things, putting your meals together, how you know how to do it now, pairing them together, and then letting your body digest the food, not eating foods that's high in saturated fat. And you'll be like my body is responding. I'm losing the weight more easily. I'm shedding it more easily. I don't feel as bogged down. I don't feel as tired. And it just makes you feel so much better, more alert. Like, oh my goodness, now I can actually concentrate on the work that I need to do for today because I don't feel so bogged down. Okay. So small, consistent change over time creates real results. Okay. So I sometimes see patients are like, I've tried this and I've done these things. I've went on diets and I see weight loss initially, and then it just fizzles out. And then I get tired of trying to, figure out what I'm going to eat all the time. And so then I just, go back through the drive-through, or I just go eating what I was doing before because it's hard. And sometimes it takes setbacks to continue on your weight loss journey. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be 100% consistent. But the more that you realize what you're doing and say, okay, I know that today was not a good day for my eating habits. I know this last week was not good for whatever reason. Whether you're on vacation, you were tired, you had too much to do that week. Don't give up. Use this video as inspiration to keep going, to take the next step and say, okay, I'm going to continue on. Because as long as we are alive, we have that chance to change what we're doing in the moment, okay? So you can do it. I am here for you, okay? So if you need help, once again, we are here at Atkins Enlightenment Lifestyle Medicine to actually help you to implement these things. So it's not just information. On the videos, we give you information to actually help you, but actually with Atkins Enlightenment Lifestyle Medicine, we actually help you to implement these things, to stay consistent so you can actually see these results happen. So when those times come that you feel discouraged and you're not like, I'm just not going to make it anymore, then I am here to help you say you can do it. You can keep going. And we'll have consistent, regular appointments so you can actually do that, okay? And messaging in between times so you can Dr. Amanda, this wasn't a good day. What can I do to get back on track? And of course, we'll give you encouragement to stay on the path of your health and wellness goals. So don't forget to reach out at www.dramandamd.com. Don't forget to like and share this video so others can learn that when they learn the information that they need, then they actually implement the information with Atkins Enlightenment Lifestyle Medicine. They can actually see life-changing results. Okay, you can do it. Your body is ready to respond differently. Otherwise, you wouldn't be seeing this video. Your body is ready for you to feel more in control, and you actually start seeing progress that makes sense. Okay, so blessed health to y'all, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Again, don't forget to share this video, share, like this video so people can see it. Comment below on what you're actually going to do differently to actually help your body decrease its insulin resistance, increase its insulin sensitivity, so that you can actually start losing weight. And you're like, insulin resistance, insulin sensitivity, what? But remember, these are the things that we have to be aware of when we want to actually lose weight and lose it consistently. So again, blessed health to y'all, and I look forward to seeing you next time.